Richard. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for coming here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. We made it. I was a little bit late, 5 minutes, but we made it. So
Hey, 5 minutes is within the realm of anything, right?
Right.
I had you've probably heard this term before, but I had a mentor, a woman mentor, who always used to say, 85% of life is just showing up.
That's
Right?
true.
So the fact that you showed up is the best
That's
part about
true.
it, right? 5 minutes late doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're here.
That's so
Right?
true.
So I'm really excited to talk to you today about Bebecita, about your entrepreneurial journey, about company, all these kinds of things, right? So maybe we'll just start with a little bit of about you. Tell us a little bit about you and before we jump into everything that you're doing with your entrepreneurial endeavor.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
a little bit more about me. So I was born in Cuba and I came here when I was 7 years old. So I've been here ever since, learned English, went to school here. I did go to finish high school, college. And funny thing is I did go to school for business management
Right.
because in the back of my head, like I mentioned in my first blog, I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Ever since I was little,
Yeah.
I've always known.
Mm.
And one thing I would like to say is that I truly believe that it was God and manifestation.
Mm.
And I will definitely go a little bit more in detail because, I remember when I was little and I would just watch TV with my mom. In Cuba, we didn't really have a lot of
Sure.
channels.
State media.
It was just, we had what, 3, 4 channels, literally.
Yeah.
And most of the things that we would watch is, it's called soap operas, novelas in Spanish.
Yeah,
And I just remember,
telenovela, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I just remember, looking at the rich people having their businesses, they have their tall buildings. And I would just remember, be like, oh my God, like I want that, I want that. And mind you, I was just a little girl and I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older and I started to think about stuff like that, that is manifestation right there.
Yep.
And that was God planting stuff in my head. So I truly do believe that without God and manifestation and without faith, I would not be here
Where you are
right
today.
now.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's amazing. That's
exactly.
You decided to enter a space with Bebecita, women's intimate apparel, lingerie. Talk to us a little bit about the company itself. But what I'm most curious about, Claudia, is what I'm going to think is probably a pretty brave thing to do. And we're going to talk about some of your products and stuff. But this is a competitive space that you have decided to enter into. But before we talk about that, and talk to us just a little bit about the brand.
Yeah, definitely. So I decided to really create my brand, Bebecita. It's not really about the money. It's really about making a difference. Because if you think about the money, you're not really going to go anywhere.
Right.
But once you think about, okay, how can I make a difference? Because being an entrepreneur, you are finding solutions to people's problems. So you have to find an issue. And most of the issues that I found is women not being confident in themselves.
Right.
And one of the other reasons why I started my brand is because, especially young women, I truly believe that we are being brainwashed by social media.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because even Fashion Nova models and Victoria's Secret, they all look the same.
Right.
And it's just like
it's like a carbon copy of
and they go through multiple plastic surgeries, Photoshop.
Right.
And just being as a young female looking at that, it's just like, because I know what happened to me, so I'm speaking from my point of view, and it's just like, oh wow, like everybody looks like that and I don't.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I'm not beautiful. And that's one of the reasons.
But where do I fit into it? Right?
Exactly. It's like I don't look like that, but am I still beautiful?
Right.
Of course I am.
Of course you are. Yeah.
So it's like, that's really one of the reasons why I decided to start my brand. And everything about my brand is natural. There's no Photoshop.
Right.
There's no crazy edits because I want people to see,
the real deal. Right.
This is you.
Right.
But you're still beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And Bebecita has been around for how long now?
So it's been about over a year now,
Okay.
But there has been a lot of rebranding and and it's so important.
It's always a work in progress,
It's always, being an entrepreneur, you're constantly learning something.
Yep.
It's like you never know everything. You're always learning something, which is the best part. So you have to be really smart and you have to, something that I really want to say, you have to fail. You have to be glad that you failed.
Absolutely. Yep.
You have to be happy that you failed because from that failure, you learn something and you grow.
Mhm.
If you decide, you can either give up.
Right.
Or decide to learn from your failure.
I love it. I love that. You can either give up or decide to learn.
Exactly.
Did you look out? You just mentioned some of the other brands, and they're not focused as much on inclusivity and positivity as your brand is. But you didn't have to go and solve that problem. You could have left it up to somebody else to solve that problem.
I did.
Claudia, so why did you choose to solve the problem?
Because, it kind of just makes sense because my personality, I've always loved fashion.
Yeah.
And ever since I was younger, I used to always literally go to Pink, Victoria's Secret. I was 15 years old, working on Market Basket, gaining minimum wage,
Yeah.
literally. And I will always just go there and literally spend my whole paycheck there.
Yeah.
Because, I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. Like, I want that. Mind you, I would spend my whole paycheck there.
Right. Wow.
And just because I wanted it, it was cute.
Right.
And then mind you, I would just walk past them and all their marketing
Lots.
flyers, they all look the same.
Right. Yeah. Angels and all that nonsense. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, I kept that in the back of my head. I'm like, like they all look the same. So a couple years ago, I really sat down and I really wrote down what are my biggest interests about myself. Because I knew I wanted to open up my brand, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
So I really wrote down a couple things, and obviously this was not my first option. But once I really narrowed it down, I'm like, this just makes sense.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Right. Yeah.
I love fashion, and it's really about, looking good for yourself, feeling good for you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second, because you have the packaging, everything you have, it's beautiful stuff, right? You can see the attention to detail that you're doing here. We have this other example here of when someone gets a piece from you in the mail, right? Thank you, beautiful colors. But again, you are in a space that's highly competitive. So I know you're trying to differentiate, but at the same time, like, this is about inclusivity. So I feel like what you're doing here is very personalized and very much like with inclusivity in mind. Is that true? Yeah.
Definitely, because especially as a small business owner, you do have to make yourself different versus let's talk about Shein right now. You order something from them, it might be cheap. But they put in a little plastic bag, ship it to your house. That's it.
Right.
And versus if you order from me, especially this is from a girl to a girl. So it's like, if you really order from me, it's really about not just buying a product, it's also about the experience. And I've had some of my customers say that, the best part is just getting their package delivered, because it's like, they feel like literally I'm that girl.
Right.
I'm stating my customer right now. And I just honestly, I love to hear that. I love to hear that my products, my packaging is making females feel good about themselves.
And because again, you said this is about you and for you. It's not for anybody else.
Right.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the creative process, how you choose the types of articles that you offer. Like, what are the things that you look for?
Yeah, definitely. So something that I really highly stand on is, so I'm a girl, so I know how it feels, So when I started my brand, I knew, okay, I want something that's comfortable.
Right.
Something that's not itchy.
Right.
Something that's everyday wear.
Okay, yep.
And because most of the issues was, especially lingerie, a lot of women didn't like to wear it because they think it's itchy, uncomfortable.
Or they think it's only for a certain specific purpose, not for something every day.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, like that's where I need to go.
Right.
I need to find something that's cute and fashionable, obviously.
Right.
But it has to be extremely comfortable.
Right.
Because if I'm not going to wear it.
Right, exactly. You're not going to wear it, then how can you expect your clients?
How can I sell it?
And how can you sell it?
If it's itchy for me, it's going to be itchy for them.
Right, absolutely.
So, before I really bought anything, I bought trials.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
yes, you can try stuff.
So I can try, feel the material.
Fabric,
I tried it on.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, like this feels good. It's not itchy. It's comfortable. And then I decided if I really wanted to move
include
forward,
it in your line.
Exactly, because that's really important. A lot of people buy stuff and they just sell it, but it's just like that could be a huge mistake right there.
Absolutely. Yep.
You're wasting money and time.
Yep.
But that's just a little bit more about.
I love the creative process. Yeah. You have obviously an online presence, and I'm sure a lot of your e-commerce is the big part of how you are doing business. So definitely want to talk about your e-commerce model, and your social media is great. But you're starting to do more in-person stuff now,
yes,
too, right? You're doing pop-ups. Do you envision someday, Claudia, actual storefront, or do you think you'll be more of an e-commerce brand? Maybe it's too early to tell. I don't know.
I think it really just depends, because I've kind of wanted a store to really, because I'm so much better at talking to people in person. And I'm such a social person and I'm so nice that I just love talking to people. But at the same time, once you have a store, there's just so many bills, you gotta pay the rent,
insurance, all these things.
Everything that goes into it. And right now for my online store, Actually, I wanted to say I started my brand for my bedroom and my basement.
There you go.
And sometimes those
That's
are
bootstrapping right there.
that's
Yep.
the best, those are the best stories you might have someday,
Yep.
and I still use my basement till this day. I package all of my stuff in my
Yep, all
basement.
the beautiful stuff.
I
Yep.
package, and
Yep.
you can even see it in my Instagram. It's literally in my basement, and I have a little table set up for me because, right now a store doesn't make sense, but even in the future,
Maybe, yeah.
who knows,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But for right now, I do like my online presence.
Yep.
Because versus in store, I wouldn't really have enough time to really, package because I really do take my time.
We'd be able to do something as nice as this.
Like,
Yeah, for
take
sure.
my time.
Yeah.
And then the pop-up shops, I do like the pop-up shops
In
because
person, right? Yeah.
it's more in
Yeah.
person. And the thing is that we like, especially ladies, we like to feel,
You wanna touch it first.
it's
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
buy stuff like this without, is the material good?
Well, and I
Is
would
the-
think sizing is
Right.
an issue as well, right?
Right.
It's like in this brand I'm a medium, in this brand I'm a small. Like,
Exactly.
It's always, yeah.
But then one of the good things about my brand is that most of all the stuff, even the tops and the bottom, is adjustable.
Right.
So I tell the girls, I'm like, hey, you can literally make into a perfect size.
Nice for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Even if
awesome.
you buy a medium, it might be too big, too small. You
Right.
can literally just adjust it in the
You can
straps.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
I first became aware of your brand because of some of your followers were also followers of my show, right? So that's how I first became aware of you. And then I saw this beautiful YouTube video, this very personal. You were actually even sick when you were recording it.
yes.
This very personal, very raw YouTube video that you put out there so your customers could know the real you.
Yes.
And that's what, made me want to reach out to you, that video, and have this conversation. What kind of inspired you, Claudia, to sit down and make such a raw video like that and really just put it all out there?
Actually, it's crazy you mentioned that because I went to a pop-up shop, right?
Okay.
And I went with my friend. We're a really good team together. We I get her, she gets me, and we're just so good together in the pop-up shops.
Yeah.
Yes. And she stayed at the table, and I was like, okay, let me just walk around, network, talk, because networking is huge. So I was just networking, with the other entrepreneurs. And then I met this other lady, totally different. She does not sell clothes or anything. And then we were just talking, and I was just telling her really more about the emotion side of my brand and wearing my products. And she was like, oh my God, like you can sell it. Like, you don't even have to mention your product. All you got to do is just mention the emotion behind it.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
And I was like, dude, like, you're right. Because I've always thought like I'm so much better at, talking to people about it, because selling something on social media is harder sometimes because, it's really, that's what I noticed, it's really about the emotion. Because you can tell people, hey, buy my shirt, buy this. Oh no, guys, come on, buy my shirt because it's gonna make you feel like a queen. It's gonna be so comfortable. It's really about, the emotion behind it, and not, hey, please support me, buy my sweater.
Right.
No, you have to tell them why they should buy it.
Right.
And then that's when I decided, okay, let me start a blog.
Beautiful. Well, and the differentiation piece too, right? I mean, that's how another way that you're differentiating your brand in an area where, like we've talked about, it's crowded. There's a lot of people.
Definitely.
You're busy. Well,
Yes.
you work a full-time job.
Yes.
In a full-time professional job.
Yes.
Plus, you have your brand.
Yes.
I also know that you are an equestrian.
Yes. Yes. So my life.
So how are we fitting all this into a 24-hour time?
So
period,
it is. You know what? It's definitely hard. But you know what? Life is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Life is hard, and for me, it's actually really good you mentioned this, because I know I am meant for greatness. And when I was born, I could have died.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah, well, you were probably born into really great. I'm just assuming, but I'm sure, tough country, not the greatest environment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And right when I was born, I could have died right when I was born, but I didn't.
Right.
So that means something.
Right.
And I've read my friend's book, and she said, so it's a very personalized book for her about her life, her journey. And in her book, she says, I know I am meant for greatness.
Right.
And when I read that stuck to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And after I read that, it really stuck to me. And I was like, okay, like, I'm meant for greatness. I'm meant for it. And after that, it really just changed my life. But yes, it is very hard. I still have my 9 to 5,
Right.
and then, I don't see my horse every day, but I tend to go every 2 days just because, he is my child, obviously.
Yeah.
So, on the days that I do see him, my days are packed because I go to my job and I go see him, and then I don't get home till like 9 past 9. Then I gotta eat dinner.
Yeah.
Then I gotta shower,
Right.
and then I gotta get back to work.
Yeah, and do all the things you might need. You may have orders you need to fulfill, right?
Right.
Other things I'm sure you need.
But
to
just
focus
even
on.
just literally just working on my business.
Yeah. Did you ever get to a point, Claudia, where you're like, it is too much? And if you did, how did you kind of pull yourself out of that?
You know what? Definitely. I think that every entrepreneur and every business has really faced a time where it's just like, dude, I just want to give up.
Yeah.
I just
Too hard. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just want to give up.
Yep.
And I really have felt like that a couple of times. But then, I like to watch inspirational videos, and especially from other entrepreneurs, no
Yeah.
matter what field they are. But, and I just remember this specific video, and it was like, now they're multi-million-dollar brands.
Right.
But before they were like, imagine I gave up.
Right.
Imagine I gave up.
Right.
And that just always stuck by my side
Yep.
because, I tell people all the time, being broke is hard.
It's
being
hard.
rich is hard. Choose your heart.
Right. What hard do you want to be? Do you know the product Cliff Bars? They're like a protein bar.
Yes, I do.
So they were actually offered really early on. Somebody wanted to buy them and just take over, and they actually turned that down and stayed in business for themselves. And and they could have taken the easy buyout, right?
Right, get some money.
That's
be
going to be
out.
done. Okay,
Yeah.
good, right? But they knew that their brand, to your point, was destined for more than that,
It's amazing.
right? So they hung in there, and I'm sure it was hard some days. They probably woke up some mornings and were like, "Why didn't we take the buy? Right? Should have taken the buy, right?" But they did stick with it and kept going, right? So sure, like some days you just want to say I'm done, but you find the will to keep going.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah, choose your heart. I like that.
Exactly. And something that I told myself, because this is definitely being an entrepreneur is not get money quick,
No.
It really it
I think
takes
people
time.
tend to think that sometimes. Right?
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes
Overnight
time.
success, whatever.
There's no such thing as overnight success. You got to put in the work. If you don't put in the work,
Yeah.
you're not going to go anywhere. You have to put in the work. You have to be consistent. You have to, it's definitely hard, but I believe in God, and I feel like without him,
You have a lot of faith.
I have a lot of faith. And honestly, something that I do want to say is me simply being myself has opened up so many doors for me.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So I'm sure that a lot of people think that you have the Claudia that we see on social media and the Claudia that is at home or at work or what have you. But you're saying it's the same person all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just hard because I'm not a regular person.
Yeah.
And what do most people do after, they go home from work? Watch TV.
Watch TV, sit around. Yeah.
I don't have time to watch
Right.
TV.
Yeah, exactly.
I might put a little show on Netflix while I'm eating just to,
Move it.
Yeah. But besides that, I have a TV in my room.
Yeah.
I don't even use it.
Right.
It's just because I don't know. I want to be
Your
productive.
brain's moving all the time.
Because I feel like if I'm not being productive, because I know I'm not nowhere near where I want to be. So even if it's something little every day, you have to
move the ball forward a little bit.
You have to do little steps every day, because those little steps is what's going to lead you somewhere, and you never know.
Right.
So
Yeah. When you think about your community and the people that are supporting you, you talked a minute ago about you have a friend that helps you with some of the stuff, and but tell me a little bit more about the people that have helped stand behind you, Claudia. and
yeah,
really help you.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I went on, my friend has a podcast himself, and I went on his podcast, and because of that, you never know who you're gonna meet.
Yeah.
Because of that, I met this guy, and we started working together, and he helped me, with my photo shoot. So it was the whole rebranding process. So we rebranded, my website. We came up with a new website.
Right.
And then that's how I met, a bunch of other people as well, other artists.
Yep.
And there were also models in my brand as well. So we did a photo shoot.
Yep. Photo shoot. Yep.
So we have some really cute pictures, and then we use that on the website as well.
Yep. But he was a big part of your community. and the people who were helping you stand behind you.
Right. They were, we got the models, we got everything that we
Yep.
needed. So I definitely do. I appreciate everything in my life, but I
Right.
really do appreciate everybody that
Right.
has been supporting.
Right.
Even the haters, I still support you too. Because,
you hear that,
it's just
haters?
kind
She
of like,
supports you.
It's just kind of like, I'm thankful for y'all too, because at the same time, that keeps me going.
Right.
Because it's just like, if somebody's hating, I must be doing something right.
They're paying attention. Yeah. Yeah. Haters are interesting because, look, at the end of the day, if they're paying attention to you, then there's, even if they're hating on you, they're still paying attention.
Right. You're still watching me. You're still watching. So definitely. But,
And your website is babysita.net.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Yes. And you just you relaunched, rebranded. Looks really great. All the colors, the pink, the gold, everything that you're doing is really cool.
Thank you.
Tell me about where we're going from here, Claudia. So
Yes.
You've been working really hard. You're doing pop-ups. You're rebranded, e-commerce. What's left between now and, let's say, the end of the year, or what are you thinking about?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, I strictly focus on just women's intimates.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I really have in mind is I want to create more loungewear. So kind of like, not necessarily leggings, but kind of like leggings with a matching top, just loungewear, with like
sort of Saturday morning, Sunday morning.
Right.
Stuff.
Kind of like you're going out to get food,
Right.
or even just you walking your dog. Just my brand is all about comfortable and fashionable. I'm
versatile.
Huge on you have to be comfortable, or else why are you wearing it? So I definitely want to create more branded products. I want to say, so just creating, because I feel like everybody does hoodies and stuff like that. So I don't really want to focus on that.
Yep.
But just more of, loungewear, just you chilling at your house, you have some cute leggings on with a matching top with your Uggs, just, more like loungewear stuff. And then potentially, you never know what the future holds, but that is definitely something that's
an area. Yeah. Well, that's a very logical adjacency, right? From intimate apparel to loungewear, and then maybe from loungewear to sleepwear. Like, I think you probably see a very sort of logical adjacency there.
Definitely.
Right. Yes. And you also, part of your, forgive me if I'm wrong, Claudia, but you also do some skin and other pieces as well, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I do have nipple covers as well. I have 2 different types of nipple covers. Actually, the Kissy nipple cover, I have one myself, obviously, and I've used it over 10 times and it still works. So you're getting your money's worth right there. Yeah. And then I do have a body scrub as well. That's right, it's an almond body scrub, so it's really good for your skin as well. So I decided to really include those products because, sometimes I just wanted to offer something a little bit different along with just some intimates, get some nipple covers, body scrub. It's really about self-care. Yeah. It's really about
self-preservation. Yeah.
That's really what my brand is about, empowering your body, empowering your life, building that self-love, self-confidence, because it took me years to fully love myself. But once I reached that point, it's just like, you can't mess with me. And that's really what I want to push along. Yeah. It's just like, that's why my products are not meant for you to really wear. I mean, yes, some of them are more sexier, more lingerie, of course. Sure. But, the whole theme behind my brand is, you looking beautiful for you.
Every day. Yeah. Or on the days you want. Right? Yeah, absolutely. If there's a young woman that's listening to this or watching this and she's like, I don't think I have the bravery to do this. I don't think I have the will, but what would you say to her?
Definitely. I think, like, if they want to start their own brand.
Sure. Yeah. Or their own business, their own brand, their own.
I think
just their own thing.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's really important because you just have to really know what you love and don't even think about the money. You can't think about the money or else it's going to cloud your judgment. You need to have very strong whys. Why do you want to do this? Because there's going to be, just like we talked earlier, there's going to be really hard times where you want to give up. But what's going to keep you going is that very strong why. Right. And there could be multiple whys. It doesn't have to be
just one thing, right? Yep.
It could be, you want to be financially secure to help your family. That could be a really good motivation. Right. It could be, you want to make an impact. You want to make a difference. As simple as that. So you need to keep those strong whys, because there are going to be some days you might not even want to get out of your bed. But in the back of your head, you know why you need to get out of bed. Right. Yeah. So, and I think it's important to really, have a strong background of why you want to do things. you need to have a purpose.
Yeah.
It's really, it's really about having a purpose and not just really thinking about the money, because the money's gonna come once you're really putting in the work and once you're being consistent. But it's really, for me, I've always wanted to make a difference, especially in people's lives.
Right.
And once I tell people about, the emotion side of my brand, they're like, oh my God, stop it. Like, and they love that because they're like, oh my God, this is going to make me feel good. Like, yes, it is. Like, that's what it's meant for,
Right. Yeah.
So honestly, just have a strong purpose, have a strong why. Why do you want to do the things you do? And obviously it has to be, something that's you, something that you really love.
Right. Right. Tell us about the handle. So at Bebecita on Instagram, right?
So yeah, on Instagram, be bebecitas.shop.
Okay.
And that was actually one of the hardest things for me. What should I name my brand?
Yeah, sure.
And I knew, so I'm Latina, so I knew that I wanted to kind of relate my brand, to a little bit more about my life.
Right.
So I was like, so it was very hard, but then I was like, Bebecita, it just makes sense. Like it just fits in.
Yeah.
And especially, as other Latino people hear my brand, they're like, Bebecita, like they can, especially women, like they relate to that.
Yeah.
And that's something that
it's comfortable and familiar to them.
It's huge, it's huge. So
well, branding is probably the hardest thing that you can do, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
Like you put a lot of emphasis and time, care, and feeding into your brand.
Yes.
I'm sitting here talking to you, and the word that keeps coming to my mind is like, I feel like this fierceness in you, Claudia.
Yes.
Right? And you hold yourself to a high standard. You hold yourself and your brand to a high standard. Tell me about that ferocity. Like, I feel the fierceness in you.
Definitely. It takes a while. I think that, definitely at first it was really hard for me. I mean, nobody really knows what they're doing when they first start.
You're just like making it up as you go along, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like
don't listen to the first few episodes of this show. They're terrible.
But now you have almost 100, right?
Yeah,
so
I have 100. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's really about being consistent.
Yep.
And for me, the hardest part was really the whole marketing aspect because, I used to really be a homebody.
Yeah.
And you can't be a homebody if you're an entrepreneur.
Right. You got to get out there.
You have to get out there. You have to network. You have to meet people. So that was also one of the hardest part because I'm starting my brand. I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody that would model for me. I don't know people. I barely have friends. Like, I'm like,
I got to do everything.
Right. I'm like, what's going on? So, and then my friend Leslie, she has her own baking business actually too. She put me on with her photographer.
Okay.
And then we did our first photo shoot in her house, and I was the model for all of my products. Right. She wanted to model one of them, so I let her model. She felt comfortable in one of them. I was like, okay, like you got that. You can model that one. Go. Yeah. And then besides that, I had to model everything else. Right. So I was the model. Being an entrepreneur is hard because you're the model.
Everything.
You're the CEO.
The CEO. You're the finance person. Marketing.
You're the marketing manager, the social media manager. You're literally everything. Like, you don't have money to pay somebody to. Right. So it's like you have to do everything yourself. You're the website designer. Exactly. So it's like. So it's definitely hard.
Yeah. But I think that fierceness carries you through, doesn't it?
Yes, it's definitely hard because just like I said, I feel like I'm just meant for greatness.
Yeah.
And if it's something that I'm really passionate about, like even this conversation, I can just keep on going.
Yeah.
Because I'm very passionate about it. So I can just talk all day, honestly, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. But
the passion is what drives you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And entrepreneurial life is all about passion.
Exactly.
Right? You have a great passion.
Exactly.
And you have ferocity.
Yes.
Right? So let's cover off on social media. So at bebecita.shop on Instagram, on YouTube.
I believe it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bebecita.net is the website.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And will you promise to keep us posted, come back, tell us more about how you continue to grow this brand?
Yes, definitely. It's really been a journey. And it's always going to be a journey, which is the most important thing. But something that I really want to highlight is, it's really about you have to be happy you make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made so many mistakes. I've bought, one of the biggest mistake was, buying too much inventory
right.
at first.
And then it's sitting there.
And then boom, you got sitting inventory.
Yep.
And it's like, I already pay for it,
Yep.
and it's just sitting in my basement.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying, you know, you have to be happy to make those mistakes because you get smarter from making those mistakes if you want.
Right. If you want to learn from them.
If you exactly.
Absolutely.
And then that's why I've been going to so many pop-up shops to just try and get rid of that inventory, make some profit, go to a new project.
Right.
So you know, it's definitely it's a learning game. That's really what it is.
Yep.
It's really a learning game. But for me, you know, it's really about making a difference in women's lives. Because once I hear back, you know, their feedback about how they like their product or just everything, just in general, like it makes me happy to
Yeah.
know that like if they're happy,
Then you're happy.
I'm happy.
And you're making a
And
difference.
that's really what matters.
That's beautiful. Claudia, thank you for coming here today and
Thank you
chatting
so
with
much
us.
for having me.
Yeah, at bibasita.shop, bibasita.net.
Yes.
We're so excited to keep
Thank you
watching you
so
grow.
much. Thank you for having me.
You're